podcast is part of the Sports Social Podcast Network.
Round 18 for the URC South African teams. 4 games played, 2 losses, 2 wins. 3 teams in the playoffs, 2 home quarterfinals secured. You're watching Bit of an Animal. Let's get stuck in. Good evening and welcome. On the panel with me today is Bryce and Jean. Good evening, gentlemen.
How's it, guys?
Evening.
Topic number 1. The Stormers make the playoffs, but they fall short in the Welsh capital. Bryce, on the group chat, you were none too pleased. It's a few days later. Have your thoughts evolved any?
No, unfortunately not. I think that game confirmed to me that they're not going to win the URC, unfortunately. I think there was a stat I looked at. There was a stat I found where they compared the first 6 games of the season with the last 6 games. So the first 6 games we won 6 out of 6, and we got, I think, 22 out of 25, with something like that. We got like most of the points. And then in the last 6 games, we won 3 out of 6 games, which I don't even know, like, how can we say we're a title contender if we on that kind of form? So look, credit to Cardiff. I think Cardiff did play exceptionally well, I think, and Cardiff has been pretty. I think it was like, is it 8 out of 9 that they won at home or something? It's an unbelievable record. So like, fair credit to them, and I actually wouldn't mind if the Stormers had lost that game, but it was like the manner in which they lost. It was almost like they haven't grown since, I don't know what that Connacht game where we just throwing away chances, we're leaving doors for the opposition. It's I don't know. I think they might have thrown this title away, because I think they should have finished first. I mean, really, they had a chance in these 2 games. In fact, both games they should have won, but it's just disappointing. And I know Dobbo is gonna say something, but I mean, at some point we gotta make some big calls. I mean, you can't just say Project 2029 and then hope that it's gonna come right then. I think there's a couple of coaching decisions that needs to be made. A couple of new coaches needs to be brought in, because I think this playing group is good enough. I think there's no excuse for this team to be putting out 3 out of 6 games. 3 out of it shouldn't happen. I don't know. I don't even know what to break down in this game, because it's just the same. I'm just going to be saying the same thing that I've been saying whole season. So yeah, hopefully in 2 weeks time I can say something good. They've learned from the mistakes, but it's not looking good.
Interesting. It's interesting that you mentioned the stats comparison, because when you look at the stats of the game, it's a fairly 50-50 game, and then you get to kicking, and the meters kicked between Cardiff and Stormers is Cardiff kicked almost double the amount of meters that Stormers kicked. And I think maybe without putting too fine a point on it, you can win most of the battles that you want, right? But the kicking battle has become so important in terms of not just territory, but determining where you get your set piece, where you get to set your maul, where you are defending, where you are attacking. If your kicking game is not on top on the day, and I think this shows it. I don't want to say a bang average team, but a consistent team can outpace a team of superstars just by being a little bit better with the kick. The only real difference in stats is between turnovers and kicks. Stormers lost 12 turnovers. So
yeah, losing Andre Hugo Venter so early hurt them. I mean, not just in the scrum, but like around the park as well. I mean, Johnny Cots is JJ Cots is a good player. He's just not quite at that level. It's almost as if Stormers only have one really good hooker, and then of course, like we discussed on the group chat, the fragility of the center pairing, though. Two very good young players offensively, but defensively they were a little out of sorts. And the fact that Cardiff were able to play such fluid set moves against the Stormers when the Stormers game plan throughout the season, even though they were unbeaten for the first half of the season for a significant portion of it, really looks like give it to the talented players, of which they have many, and then sort of see what happens. And that's not going to get you that far. Considering this game that Cardiff scored 4 tries and Stormers got only one, and the Stormers were the first team to score a try. Bryce, your thoughts?
Yeah, it's I totally agree with you there. And I just want to go on to Jean's point because he brought up a very good point there. Like when he said the stats are more or less even, which I mean, it shouldn't be like that because you were second or first in the log against what seventh or sixth. I mean, why are the stats even? You shouldn't be like a mid-table team. There should be something clear like, okay, you're dominating the gain line or you're dominating dominant tackles, which actually I did see on Reddit that someone did a post that said in the first couple in that win streak we had a lot of dominant tackles and now we just scrape by for a couple of dominant tackles every game. So you mix the kicking, you mix the dominant tackles, and then you have an attack that doesn't score tries when when the going gets tough. At the moment we're kind of playing like a lower mid-table team. I think it's the log is fooling us here at the moment. So
Bryce, how
yeah,
do you think it's going to go in 2 weeks' time, though? It's the same opponent, but it's going to be in Cape Town.
look, look in Cape Town. I think they might scrape it. I think, or they could win comfortably. Look, I genuinely don't know what what the Stormers will pitch up because we've seen with the Dragons game. I thought they were going to win by like 30 points, and then they almost lost that game. And then it comes to the Connacht game. I thought they started well, and then it unraveled. So I don't know. I just want to see them play differently. I don't want to see them go into these games and it's the same Stormers team. I want to see them. Okay, I don't care if they just box kick every ball or just kick everything and just defend. Just do something differently. Otherwise, you're not going to win the title. Unfortunately, you're gonna go to Dublin and then you're gonna get beat by 12 points against Leinster. And then what is that a good season because you finished third? I want to see them go to Dublin with a bit of confidence, with a bit of like, okay, we got these guys. We're gonna scrum them. We're gonna kick them. We're gonna tackle them. We're gonna do what the Bulls did in URC one and just restrict them. Don't like whatever you were doing against Cardiff. Just go there with the early season, like when we played against Benetton. Just constrict the opposition and take as much of the decision making away from the players because at the moment I don't trust the players to make good decisions. So
Yeah, that's a
yeah,
good transition, considering you mentioned the Bulls and Benetton. Jean, the Bulls, due to the fact that the Stormers did get one losing bonus point, weren't able to leapfrog the Stormers, but you did brush aside Benetton, and you look like you didn't have the best necessarily performance, but it's the right type of performance in these last 4 matches going into the playoffs, and you've secured a home quarterfinal.
Yeah, look, we're happy. We're happy. I think credit to Benetton early in the second half, they really came back into the match. And they got themselves going well again. And credit where it's due. They really fought their way to a couple of tries and got some points on the board. I think they perhaps fought harder against the Bulls than they did necessarily the Sharks the previous weekend. Um, so yeah, credit to them. But yeah, this is now, I would say at this point in time of the season, you're just trying to maintain your log position. If you get a home quarterfinal or a home semi, that's good news for you. If not, you know, um, you need to be prepared to play either way. You can't bank on anything. So yeah, there's not 100% performance, but we're happy. I think now the real focus starts. You've got a week off. That will help some of the the sore, tired bodies. Um,
Not to
you
mention
know,
also the fact that some guys had the flu.
yeah, the flu as well. Which in general has been going around Gauteng. Um, so yeah, I think the week off, nice time to rest, focus on your cardio, focus on rehab, focus on your analysis, get yourself ready. Looking at what's lying up the road, you're gonna need to be on point, and you're gonna need to practice your breathing because they're definitely gonna try and get under your skin, a la the weekend. Just don't have any issues with a gum guard or anything like that. Or we'll spend 5 minutes listening to Andrea Piardi asking for
Yeah.
another angle.
Great transition again. That was Munster versus Lions, and we'll move on to that game. We do not have Tembe Nkosi or Sibusiso on the pod this week. Shout out to them. Unfortunately, they couldn't make it. Maybe they're still pissed off because of what happened this weekend. Bryce, it was a spirited performance from the Lions. They got the losing bonus point, so they actually went on tour and they only got 1 point, but they make the playoffs, which is the first time in their history in the URC. And for them, it's almost interesting. Stormers started well, regressed, and everybody's understandably a little disappointed because there was a very good chance of getting first or second. Bulls started indifferently and then got a home quarterfinal and fourth. Whereas the Lions, a lot of people were writing them off, including our colleague Hugh Griffin on the URC preview show we did earlier this season when I said, I hope and I think the Lions could actually make the playoffs considering their growth over the last 3 seasons, including the way they blooded a lot of players in the Currie Cup. But other issue for the Lions price is a lot of injuries.
Mm. Yeah, it's injuries and the unfortunate verdict on Asanati. That's a bit unfortunate. 'Cause I thought they really need him. They just to even if it's just a body to throw around, he really adds a lot of character to that team. I think for this tour, I was actually very impressed because this felt like a coming of age for the line. Okay, they lost big against Leinster, but for like 70 minutes they were neck and neck. And same with Munster. They had like Munster on the throats at times, and I think for the 2 weeks they can't quite. I don't know, but it seems like the Lions keep running into this brick wall when they go into Ireland. It's so much effort for them to get gain line and to. So it's an issue they'll probably have to look at next season to see how will they adjust the attack. But in terms of the defense and the work rate, it's really good to see the Lions playing well above like whatever the budget they're working with. It's because I think to even be in a winning chance against Munster away, I don't think that was unthinkable even last season. So I think, look, will they beat Leinster away? I don't know. I don't think so. But I hope they can lower that margin and give Leinster a bit of a scare there. Because look, I don't know what team Leinster's going to play in this match. Because they usually after these Champions Cup they usually play like a mixture team. So they'll put their B guys in like Sam Pendergast. So they might have a chance. So you never know.
Yeah, Sam Pedros is going to open a tackle school here. Jean, your Gauteng neighbors, belying the critics, um, losing a few key players to injury though, but some of them might, like Frankie Owen, might be back because he only got a concussion, so he might be available in 2 weeks' time. Because remember, the quarterfinals not being played this weekend. If you're watching this, it's Challenge Cup and Champions Cup finals this week. And then the other issue with the Lions, obviously, is what was it? Was like, oh yeah, the blindside flank, Fenter. He's injured. He's out for the whole week. Sorry, not the whole week, the whole season with a really bad knee injury. So that's not ideal. Key player for them. Um, you must be proud of your Gauteng neighbors.
Yeah, I think the Lions put up quite a good fight. Um, I think there was while I'm in overall, I'm pretty happy with the performance of the officials. I have to say I have a lot of questions regarding the ruck clear outs. There were several leading arms in a couple of rucks there. On one of the platforms where I was in a match thread, even some of the Munster fans were questioning it. We had two concussions in a row there. So yeah, it's questionable, but I think to echo the sentiment that Bryce put out there, sometimes you have a coming of age without necessarily winning, but you're showing maturity, you're showing fight, you're showing spirit. And I think it's definitely a case of the Lions here, a sense of coming of age, accepting the burden of being on tour, the fact that you need to work extra hard to rise to the occasion, to deal with home crowds who are yaying and booing at every possible opportunity. So I think it's definitely a sign of maturity. One thing I will say is between the Stormers and the Lions, they need to find a way to get the pressure off the 10. The tens are getting just smothered. And it doesn't necessarily mean physically, it's they're just shutting down the space around the 10. And just consistently flooding the passing channels. So I would say heading into the finals, see if you can't put your 10 more backwards, or look at more set plays, faster set plays, prioritizing ruck speed. But very happy with the performance in general, and I think the Lions put up a good fight against a strong Munster team at home, who it's easy to forget they've won the Champions Cup, they've won the URC, and they're definitely not a team that's going to go away, despite gum
Interesting.
guard issues.
Yeah, well, shout out to Craig Casey. He had a monster game. Interesting article coming out earlier today that the Lions were still deciding if they're going to fly back to Johannesburg and do their preparation in South Africa or just do their preparation in Europe, considering their next game is in Dublin. We move now on to the Sharks game. The Sharks who could not make the playoffs, but played a very mixed sort of good balance of youth and experience. The experience helped the youth sort of set the platform. Siya Kolisi scoring 2 tries in his last game for the Sharks. Good crowd at the stadium. The Sharks with the third most attendance in the whole of the URC. And yeah, it was like almost like a testimonial for Siya Kolisi. Um, Zebre, like Benetton earlier last week, didn't quite come there with the right sort of quality and focus, but they had some moments. I figured that they're a very good attacking team, especially at counter attack. They didn't do the thing that they did last season, where they'd sort of wait in the line and sort of intercept the ball quite often. So yeah, Siaya now at fullback instead of at fly half. He touched the ball a bit less, but he still was able to shine. But we do have to temper the praise of players as we do tempering the criticism, because this was again sort of a disinterested, not necessarily up. This was against Zebre in Durban, whereas he looked more human in the two away matches. So Siaya, 18 years old, big kid. Weirdly, I liked to see him, even though I was apprehensive about the idea of him playing fly half last week. When he played fly half last week, he got the ball so often and was able to create so much that I was almost wishing he did play fly off this week. But who did play fly off this week was debut for Vusi Moyo, a Junior World Cup fly off winning fly off, including the Junior Rugby Championship. Yeah, he played really well. Another big kid, very physical. You want the players to be able to like stand up at the stage, and not get sort of overpowered and not be traffic cones on defense. And yeah, the overall like rebuild is going to have to start now. There's a significant amount of players that are departing the Sharks, but there's a good core of players being recruited as well as coming up from the youth system. Players like Jaco Williams, Albie Bester, Lily Bester, who played well in the wing as well. Yeah, so that concludes their season. Anything else? No, that's about it. Guys, we're going to move on to the SA Cup, where Griquas and the Pumas set up their usual final, but this time it's in Welkom. Because last season it was in Mbombela. So these two teams made their way into the SA Cup final by the Pumas defeated the Toyota Cheetahs on Friday night. And then Griquas, who, interesting enough, played a very different-ish type team. It's almost as if maybe the team they played against, they put out against the Cheetahs in Bloom the week before wasn't necessarily rotation, but maybe injuries because it was so similar. I would just take this opportunity also to send out condolences to Griquas wing Gershon Weir, who lost his dad recently. It's a lot of South African prominent players who lost loved ones recently, so condolences to them. But yeah, Boland put up a fight in Kimberley, as well as Cheetahs put up a fight in Bombela. Jean, SA Cup final, same teams, different venue.
Yeah, look, I think it's going to be a good match. It'll be very interesting to see how the Pumas perform. Away from home hasn't really affected them this season. We've had this final before this season. Round 7 was Griquas versus Pumas in Kimberley, and Griquas walked away with a 10-point win. But unfortunately, this time it's knockout rugby, so unlikely to see big scores. But it will be very interesting to see, how the Pumas travel this time. And I think maybe, yeah, there might be a bit more of there might be a bit more of an opportunity to rest and recover. But also, you've now played the team before. You've seen what they did in the semi-final. You saw what they did in round 9, round 8, round 7, round 6. So you've got a good data set and everything for your analysis. So yeah, but happy to see that we have good teams. We're getting good rugby in the SA Cup. And hopefully one of these teams don't replace the Stormers in the URC anytime soon.
Interestingly enough, a couple of these players who played in the SA Cup are moving on to different teams across Europe, like the blindside flank of the Pumas. Walt van der Merwe, he's been signed by Glasgow. Yeah, Franco Smith recruited him, and they're quite excited about that. There's all Wille Engelbrecht, journeyman somewhat, played very well for the Stormers. But yeah, this is very much the platform for players to get more game time and um, like I said before in the other podcasts, is to see the promising Bulls under 20 fly off, depart the Bulls, not even on loan, just like straight up depart them, and sign a contract with Griquas with the idea of getting more game time regularly at a certain level where you can grow, where it's not as much scrutiny on you and the level isn't that intense that you can develop as a player holistically as opposed to sort of the cauldron. Not everybody takes the same path to success. So they're all different. We'll look now ahead to, even though South African teams are not involved, it's the Champions Cup final this Saturday. Very early kickoff, 3:45, guys. Actually ahead of the SA Cup final. Leinster versus Bordeaux. Bryce, your unbiased, neutral opinion?
Yeah, I think Leinster kind of unexpectedly got to the final this season because I remember in this group stages, I was reading in the comments, a lot of Leinster fans were not quite happy with this team, and yet they're now in the final and they're second in the URC. So despite the on-field performances, they've actually gotten the results. Now, mind you, I think Bordeaux is and it's another level here. I mean, Bordeaux, especially when they got a inform Luku and Jalibe marshalling that thing, and then who knows that back that you can just. I think Bordeaux's got um a good starting back and on the bench as well. So it's one of the few teams where like their backs almost drive the team. It's beautiful to watch. I think they're gonna get the double again. Unfortunately for Leinster, I mean, look, I mean, you never know. It is finals rugby, but I mean, is this going to be the star Leinster gets? After losing with Sexton and losing all those close finals, they get it with this one, the one with Harry Byrne at 10. That would be so. It'll be so like I don't know. It'll be so unexpected, but it could happen. But I don't know. I think it's got to be you got to say Bordeaux, and they deserve it. I mean, playing the type of rugby they're playing, it's yeah. I
Yeah.
mean,
Leinster, the Chelsea Football Club of rugby. Jean, your Bulls took on Bordeaux in Pretoria earlier this season, and it was a barnstorming of a game, back and forth, end to end. You fell short, but you've got to have some insight into this Bordeaux team after that game.
Look, if you wanna beat Bordeaux, um, you have to realize first of all you're facing a team who absolutely does not shy away from the scrum or from the physicality of the contest. So Leinster's scrum will have to be on point. I mean, you've got Carlos Sadie at 140 kgs packing down on the one side. Um, and he's you wouldn't say that this is a person who a year ago was considering retiring from rugby due to a neck injury. So absolutely, you need to be upfront there with yourself to say that the scrum battle is going to be huge. You're going to need to be 100% set in terms of your set piece. And then somebody needs to help you if the ball goes out the back because between Luku marshalling the troops, Pinard on the one wing, Lebib on the other wing, your defense has got to be on point. So if the Nienaber defense is all it's set to be, this will be the game where we see if Leinster can really put it to good use. Yeah, and then you know, I won't say it's impossible to beat them in terms of attack. They don't have an all or nothing defense. Um, but if the mentality you're going with is we're gonna outscore them, which is what the Bulls try to do, be prepared to play 85 to 90 minutes because they keep the ball alive. They're gonna go for every opportunity. Um, yeah, it's going to be a big test for Leinster. And this might actually help Bryce's case, um, because these guys might be knackered from the final. They're just going to be dead tired, and that could just open that door half a millimeter for the Stormers to choke them out. Um, but to call this final without seeing the teams, even seeing the teams, I wouldn't put it past everyone. I think there's going to be a 55-45 for Bordeaux, but you can never write Leinster off. If they show up on the day and if the loose forwards, uh, neutralize the ruck threats, they've got an even shot. But it doesn't make the mountain any less small.
Interestingly enough, after that Bordeaux Bulls game in Pretoria, Cameron Woki didn't fly back with the team to France. He actually flew down to Cape Town to watch the sevens, and he was like hanging out with Sia Kolisi. Obviously, they were together at that bonfire shit show they call it, Racing. Guys, also on Friday night this weekend, a lot of finals this weekend. Our good friend and fellow presenter on Global Gainlines here, like and subscribe, Ulster Adams, his team takes on the sketchy characters of Montpellier. If you're not aware of that that information, I suggest you look into that. They're very much underdogs against a Montpellier team who like doing well in their league. Any idea, Bryce? You guys drew with Ulster recently.
mm,
The least we're going to see is a try and or a carry from our good friend Trokis Augustus carrying other guys on his back as they try to pull him down.
Say what you want about the French in like the Challenge Cup, but when they get to the final, they go full guns, yeah, and then they secure that trophy when it's on the line there. So it's unfortunate they're coming against a Montpellier team that I think they're second in the top 14. So I mean, and I think how many of that Ulster teams injured? Because I know McCloskey and that Ian Henderson got the red card, and so they're quite depleted. So the only positive that Ulster's got is that they're playing it in Wales and not in France somewhere where that crowd will probably not that Cardiff's gonna be any less French, because I mean the French make a lot of noise when it comes to the finals.
Mm.
So
Bryce, the finals in Bilbao in Spain.
that was last year. Yeah, yeah, Bilbao. Sorry,
Wow.
yeah.
I was gonna tune in to the thing and be like, wow, the weather's nice
Oh,
in Wales.
oh, okay. Ulster's not good. Yeah, I
Yeah.
mean it's across the road there.
Yeah.
So, but on Ulster's case, they kind of have to win this. This is a do or die match. If they don't win this, they don't make Champions Cup next year,
Yeah.
which
And
makes this
weirdly,
whole
if
thing
they do
interesting.
win it, they take Connacht's place in the
Mm.
in the in the Champions Cup next season. Uh, Jean, it's France versus Ireland again.
Yeah, you'd think that we'd get over the Six Nations by now, but
It just keeps going.
the yeah, it just keeps going. Yeah, look, it's very difficult. I think looking at the Montpellier team, there's obviously a lot of big names there. You've got Stuart Hogg. I don't know if he's been released on parole to attend the game. Um,
He's probably
but
playing with an ankle monitor.
someone's going to be chasing him. Um, I th yeah, it's difficult because the thing is I can see Ulster just sort of throwing a spanner in the works and sticking up Montpellier. Like it's not impossible. They haven't had close to a beaten season, and that's not any shame. I just think in terms of for Montpellier, you've got a lot of Georgian guys there. Those guys are now very weary. I think there's a lot of stress regarding the scandal, the Georgian doping scandal that's come out. It's that's got to be weighing on their mind. Um, I think emotionally that carries some baggage. So yeah, and then you've got on Ulster's side you've got the injuries. So does that equal things out? Does it not equal things out? One thing I will say is Ulster won't go away. They're not going to go away. They're not going to let this go. I do think though for Ulster it's a point. It would have been interesting to see how they approach this had they not lost out their playoff spot in the URC. Because I think in terms of their squad, it would have been very difficult. They would have had to choose here. Are we going for the Challenge Cup? Are we going for the URC? So it would have been interesting to see that play out. But yeah, I don't know. I just see Ulster nudging it by 1 point, even if it's Augustus going over in the last minute in the corner with Stuart Hogg and Adam Beard on his back. I don't know. Ireland's gonna take it.
Yeah. Look, we're definitely cheering for Ulster, and then in the final, it's so difficult to in the Champions Cup final, it's so difficult to pick. But yeah, Montpellier are very much favorites in this one, but Ulster are plucky underdogs, and yeah, we wish Adam all the best. On that note, from myself, Bryce, and Jean, until next time, in Rasi, we trust.